everybody, Zach again, NewTutorial.com, coming in making a video for you today. I may have been wrong about something. I put up a video yesterday on the whole traditions and doctrines of men and the meat and the dairy and the alcohol. And first off, I think I need to separate that into two videos, because why it's like a 20-minute long video, and why make a video that's that long for someone who's only there for one reason, to get the knowledge or to get the understanding or my opinion of just one of the topics of the two. And so I think I'm going to divide that up. Maybe I'll do a series of stupid doctrines of men because it seemed to be popular. The second thing is I don't know. Again, I mentioned in the video, and this is the part I may be wrong about, I mentioned in the video about how I have never seen any documentation on this whole idea, historical or not, of people at one point throughout history taking a kid and boiling it in its mother's milk. I have heard this before, that there's some sort of finding or interpretation or text or whatever out there saying that pagan peoples of Canaan or other places used to do this. However, I have this amazing disability, because I'm from Missouri, to show me. You must show me. Show me. Show me. I have asked people to show me the text, some sort of text, some sort of interpretations, translation. It's Ugaritic, I believe, Ugaritic language, and the Ugaritic language, whatever it's called, pronounced. That was discovered in 1928. And supposedly it's a collection of rituals and ceremonies that these pagan people used to do. And it's in there, supposedly, that they used to take a kid and boil it in its mother's milk. Show me. Show me. I have looked for this text. I have found different texts from this finding. Oh, there's a alarm's going off my phone, on my watch. I don't know why it was going off. My son must have messed with my watch. Anyway, all that to say, I have looked for books. I have looked for online interpretations of this text or translations of this. I can't find it. I have found other things translated from these texts that were discovered in 1928, but not that. So show me. It was made known to me that Nehemiah Gordon is saying that this is in fact out there. Okay, if anyone has access to this, I'm sure Nehemiah Gordon does. Maybe he can pass that on to me. He can send me a message. I would love to see a translated copy of this text that showed me that's where it's at. Show me. Years ago, I was promoting something on my website. It was this whole idea that linen has a frequency of 5,000 and wool has a frequency of 5,000. And when they're combined together, they clash, the frequencies clash, and it has harmful side effects health-wise to the body. And that's why the Father in the Torah says, don't do it. Don't mix wool and linen. See, I am in apologetics. I love apologetics. I love things that prove the Bible. I love things that prove the Bible. I did that video where I talked about Matthew Fontaine Maury, who in the 1800s discovered ocean currents, something that the Bible talked about in Psalms chapter 8, verse 8, thousands of years before. And now it was proven by science that there are indeed paths of the seas, ocean currents, discovered by Matthew Fontaine Maury. And that is amazing to me when you think about all the seafaring people that we've had throughout history, antiquity. But it was discovered in the 1800s by Matthew Fontaine Maury that the Bible is in fact true, and that proves it's divinely inspired. I love things like that. I love it when things like this come to light, because I want to show me. Show me. I need to be shown. I mentioned the book of Enoch and how I believe it's divinely inspired. The book of Enoch, right off the bat, talks about 14 types of evergreen trees. How in the world, thousands of years ago, did they know throughout the world there are only 14 types of evergreen trees? That shows divine inspiration. That there's solar winds. Enoch speaks very clearly about solar winds and how it moves the sun and the moon. And we discovered, the Soviets discovered, in the 1950s, solar winds. And you can measure solar winds, and NASA discovered it in the 1970s. Solar winds are a real thing. They come from the coronal hole of the sun and other places too. But there are, in fact, winds out in space, and Enoch talked about it. Again, evidence of divine inspiration. So when things come to light that prove the Bible, or to show the Bible is accurate, because people have been wondering for thousands of years, or at least hundreds of years, what is this whole thing about boiling a kid in its mother's milk? Where is it at? Why is it in there? Well, now we know. Okay, show me the text. I want to see the text. Again, going back to the whole linens and wool, there was people out there showing that it collides, this frequency of 5,000 for wool and 5,000 for linen, and it's unhealthy for you to wear it together. Thus, the Bible is divinely inspired. However, no one has shown me, and so I took that off my website years ago. I haven't put it back until someone shows me. There was a woman by the name of Dr. Ellen Crawford, or some kind of Crawford, Dr. whatever. She's on Facebook, or used to be at least. I'm off Facebook. I've been off Facebook now for a while, thank goodness. But she used to promote this, and I contacted her one time, and I said, because I tracked it down to her as the one coming up with this whole idea of it having these frequencies. And I said, show me the data. She did a study supposedly, and she did a study, and all this came out. Can you show me the data? Can you send me a PDF? Because I want to put it on my website. I love things that prove that the Bible is true, that show validity of Scripture. Show it to me. And she refused to show it to me. She said, it's going to come out in my book one day. I have a book. I'm writing a book. And years went by, and she never came out with a book. And she'd been saying this for years. And I'm like, where is this evidence? Where is this scientific study you did? And then I started questioning her. So where'd you get your doctorate again? And she wouldn't talk to me after that. Show me. I have this amazing disability. Show me. It's a disability. I have to be shown. Show it to me. And it really irks me if people push something, but I can't see where they got that information from. It can't be proven. So I know supposedly there's this text out there. Great. If there is, I'm wrong. I am totally fine with being wrong. If that in fact says that, there's a translation that talks about boiling a kid in its mother's milk, that something people in Lebanon or Canaan or something used to do this, great. I want to see it. I would like evidence of that. I want to see the translation from the Ugaritic or whatever Ugarit text. Show me. Show me. I still don't believe the whole linen and wool thing. I understand why there's a reason why the Father said don't mix them two together. I get that. But is it because of frequencies? I have seen no evidence. I have seen no scientific data. I have seen no scientific study that says anything about frequencies of wool and linen colliding together. If someone out there has that information, send it to me. I want to see it. I'll put it on my website. I will share it with the world because I want to prove the Bible is true. And you can do that with so many ways, in so many areas. We have proved the Bible to be factual and true, and that there are reasons the Father says do these things and don't do these other things. But if you're not going to show me and you're going to promote something or push something, I want to know. I want to know why you won't show me. So I may in fact be wrong about this whole thing. My personal opinion has always been that you don't, when he says do not boil a kid in its mother's milk, was don't bring an offering of a lamb or a goat or whatever that's still in nursing from its mother. And I know Leviticus 22, I believe verse 27 says that once a young lamb or a young animal like a sheep or a goat or a calf is under its mom for 7 days, then you can bring it. It's fit for a sacrifice, fit for an offering. But that doesn't make sense to me because I raise sheep. I have sheep out there, lots of them. And I know at 8 days old, that's not much of an offering. So I've always had a question about that translation in my text, that interpretation, that translation of that verse, thinking like, does this really mean you can offer something after it's only 7 days old? There's nothing to offer. It's not much of a sacrifice. Sacrifice means to give up something of value to the Father. But there's nothing of value there. It's only 7 days old. There's nothing to it. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm wondering about the translation of that verse. Not to mention in Numbers chapter 18, it talks about the redeeming of the animals, and the unclean animals are given a time limit of 1 month. You have a month to redeem those animals. 1 month to redeem. But see, on the clean animals that you are not to redeem, that you're to sacrifice, the firstborn, there is no time limit given. that makes more sense. Because after a certain amount of time, then there's something of value there to offer. It makes more sense to me. So I've always been curious of this thing of do not boil a kid in its mother's milk, thinking because there's verses in the context of offering and sacrifice before and after those verses of do not boil a kid in its mother's milk that would make sense to me. Do not bring this animal to me if it's still nursing of its mother. Why? Because there's nothing of value there yet. I may be wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll switch. I mean, I've been wrong about lots of things in my life. And so if that's the case, I'll be wrong. I'll be wrong and change. But if there's some sort of text that was discovered in 1928, like they're saying was discovered, show me. Show me where that is. I want to see it. All right. This came up, and I feel passionate about it, so that's why I made a separate video on it, like I'm doing now. And I will come out again, because it doesn't take away from the whole idea of, meat and dairy. You can't eat meat and dairy together, because that's just ridiculous. I mean, there's two examples in the Old Testament, Abraham and David eating meat and dairy together. So if you're going to tell me that doesn't matter, I'm sorry. It does matter. There's two examples in your text. And so this whole idea of you can't eat meat and dairy together is just crazy. So I'll come out with a separate video again on that. I needed to take down the other video because I may be wrong on this. I may be wrong. We'll see. Someone, if you have this text, send it to me and show me. And if anyone out there has access to this study about linen and wool, send it to me. I would love to be able to use it as just another example to prove that the Bible is true and accurate. I love that. I love it. But I can't show it until I see it. All right, we'll leave it at that. Go home. Read your Bible. Thanks.